Hurricane Hilary barrels towards Baja California Peninsula, southwestern US. Tropical storm Hilary approached Mexico's Baja California Peninsula, causing heavy rain and posing threats of severe flooding. Initially a Category 4 hurricane, it was downgraded to a tropical storm. A man died in Mexico Baja California Sur due to the flooding. The storm disrupted flights, sports games, and daily life in the region. Hilary was described as the wettest storm to hit the US Southwest, bringing excessive rainfalls that could surpass yearly averages. The storm's center was forecasted to pass over the northern part of the Baja California Peninsula before moving across southern California. Storm surges and heavy rain could lead to coastal flooding and catastrophic flooding in certain areas. US President Joe Biden received a briefing on preparations. Precautions were advised for residents and businesses in affected areas, with flights cancelled and sports events rescheduled due to the threat of heavy rain and flooding. Looks like America is being hit by a storm. It'd be nice if this storm was actually over Canada, simply because Canada is now on fire. Canada wildfires. At least 30,000 households in British Columbia told to evacuate. Approximately 30,000 households in British Columbia, Canada have been instructed to evacuate due to nearly 400 ongoing wildfires. In the Shuswap region, two large fires merged, resulting in the destruction of homes and structures. Travel to the city of Kelowna has been restricted due to smoke from nearby fires, impacting Lake Okanagan. Fires have already damaged residences in nearby West Kelowna. The travel restrictions aim to secure accommodations for evacuees and emergency personnel, affecting several towns including Kamloops, Oliver, Penticton, and Vernon. Meanwhile, the city of Yellowknife in another province faces a significant fire threat. Almost most of its residents have evacuated. Some remain despite officials' urgings. The wildfire crisis reflects Canada's worst season, made worse by hot and dry weather conducive to rapid fire spread. While no deaths have been reported, 4 firefighters have lost their lives during this severe season. A shout out to the great firefighters and great men out there helping the people that have lost their homes and lost their lives in this fire. If only the hurricane down south in America could just speed its way across all the way to Canada and just drench the fires, that would be really helpful. Russia's first lunar mission in 47 years smashes into the moon. Russia's first moon mission in 47 years, the Luna 25 spacecraft, ended in failure as it lost control and crashed into the moon due to pre-landing orbital problems. Roscosmos, Russia's state space corporation, lost contact with the craft during its shunting maneuver for landing. The crash highlights the decline of Russia's once formidable space program. Contrasting with its Cold War achievements like launching Sputnik 1 and sending Yuri Gagarin to space, this pales in comparison. While moon missions are challenging and many have failed, Russia's lack of lunar attempts since 1976 raised hope for a resurgence. The failure comes amidst Russia's economic challenges, Western sanctions, and the Ukrainian conflict. The loss also impacts Russia's lunar ambition vis-a-vis China, the US, and India. Despite Russian scientists' complaints about poor management and corruption weakening the space program, the hope for a lunar revival remains dimmed. Well, Russia has to worry about the war in Ukraine, so I don't think they can afford that much money in trying to send things to the moon. And India is just a few days away from landing in the south pole of the moon. If they succeed, they'll be the first country to do it, and you'll hear it here first at News of Asha. Talking about Russia, Russia says Ukrainian drones attacked 4 regions. On August 20th, Russia reported that Ukrainian drones had launched attempted strikes on several regions, causing injuries to 5 individuals and leading to temporary flight diversions at 2 Moscow airports. The Kursk, Rostov, and the Belgorod regions bordering Ukraine were targeted, with the Moscow Defense Ministry revealing its success in jamming and downing a Ukrainian drone in the Moscow area. Flights at Vnukovo and Domodedovo airports were briefly halted as a result. In the Kursk region, a drone struck a railway station causing a fire and injuries. The Russian Defense Ministry later stated it had thwarted 2 drone strikes on the Belgorod region, frequently targeted by Ukraine. Recently, there has been an escalation of Ukrainian drone attacks on Russian territory, including Moscow's financial district. Ukraine has not officially claimed responsibility, but has shown satisfaction with these actions. Well, one doesn't need to be a genius to figure out that it was Ukraine doing it, obviously with the aid of many of the Western countries, but yep, Russia has a lot of problems to deal with, and I don't think this is going to end anytime soon. It's just going to get worse. So let's hope Western leaders can come to a consensus and actually decide to actually have world peace. It seems like everybody just wants war, and war is not going to be good for the economy, or for the survival of the human species. So let's hope this doesn't go into a full-blown nuclear bullshit explosion. Now moving on from Russia, Taiwan details China's military drills. Vice President William Lai says election not China's to call. Taiwan's upcoming election presents a stark choice between democracy and autocracy, asserts Vice President William Lai. I'm sure China does not like these statements. His comments come amidst China's anger over Lai's visit to the United States, which sparked military drills near Taiwan. Seen as a separatist by Beijing due to China's territorial claims, Lai's defiance highlights the democratic process' importance. China's military crossed the Taiwan Straits median line, ratcheting up tensions. Lai maintains that China shouldn't determine Taiwan's election outcomes and calls for respect for Taiwan's democracy. I don't know how do you ask an authoritarian regime to respect democracy. That is probably the most senseless thing to be said. He emphasizes Taiwan's autonomy and willingness to engage with the international community. China's historical desire to annex Taiwan and its One China stance are key issues. Despite recent military drills, China seeks to engage with the US with a potential meeting at a regional summit. The US encourages China to cease pressuring Taiwan and engage in a meaningful dialogue instead. That's not going to happen. China tends to have a habit of taking what it wants. The only difference is now there's too many eyes watching them, so they can't really do that. Also, talking about China, there's going to be way more China problems coming up next. China vows to coordinate support to resolve local government debt risk. China's central bank announced its intention to coordinate financial aid to address local government debt issues in order to stabilize its economy and reassure investors. The move follows a joint meeting involving the People's Bank of China, the top financial regulator, and the securities regulator. The concerns have arisen that China's ongoing property crisis might adversely affect its financial system. Despite recent efforts such as lowering key interest rates and expected prime loan rate cuts, experts argue that these measures might be insufficient to counter the economy's downward trend. The central bank's statement emphasizes the need to prevent and address debt risk while avoiding systematic risk. With local governments burdened by debt and the property sector struggling, analysts suggest a coordinated rescue could involve additional funding, debt swaps, and possible restructuring. Although the central government may shy away from outright bailouts, it urges banks to increase lending to support the real economy. And guess what? It's going to be outright bailouts, it's just a matter of time. You heard it here first. More on China. China's economy is flailing. Here's how its problem could spill into global markets. China, once a rising economic powerhouse, is now facing significant challenges that could impact the global economy. Despite predictions that the end of the extreme COVID-19 policies would lead to a strong economic rebound, China's economy appears weak post-pandemic. Its industrial production, retail sales, and exports are all underperforming, while its property sector, led by Evergrande's bankruptcy filing, is in turmoil. The world heavily relies on China's growth, accounting for 30% of global growth, making its troubles ripple globally. Collapsing trade due to softened demand is affecting nations, manufacturing industries, and supply chains. Though it might elevate inflation pressures, Chinese-linked American companies are experiencing declining sales, and China could start exporting deflation, hurting global corporate profits. The housing market slump in China, which accounts for more of its domestic wealth, is constraining spending and growth, with potential defaults on US-denominated bonds. This could lead to a lasting global economic drag as China's traditional growth measures falter. If you ask me, it's not going to get any better, and I don't understand why deflation is bad. Shouldn't things be cheaper, be good for everyone, right? If everything becomes cheaper, we all can afford shit. But somehow, the only thing economists are worried and thinking about is global corporate profits. I don't get it. Let them export all the deflation they want to the rest of the world so that things become cheaper, because a lot of us are struggling and we really need cheap stuff. So, China, give us your deflation so that we can get cheap stuff. Considering 90% of the people don't own anything in the stock market, let the stock market crash. Nobody cares. At least the majority. The only people that care are the people with lots of money, and the people with lots of money have lots of money. So, who cares? Now, moving on from China, Ripple CTO clarifies on SEC appeal, highlights case complexities. The United States Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, is seeking an appeal in the ongoing legal case against Ripple Labs, as highlighted by the company's CTO David Schwartz. This move by the SEC comes after a favorable ruling by Judge Annalisa Torres, who determined that XRP is not a security when sold on a digital asset exchange. Schwartz explains that the SEC's appeal is based on its interpretation that the case is not yet concluded, allowing for appeals after the main case is finalized. This procedural strategy aims to streamline legal proceedings and prevent disruptions caused by numerous appeals on minor decisions. Ripple supports the continuation of the main lawsuit alongside the appeal process, while the SEC suggests halting the process until the appeal is resolved due to unique circumstances. The court's decision on whether to accept the appeal request could impact the ultimate outcome for Ripple SEC legal dispute. Well, this is probably going to be tied up in court for the next couple of years or, forever. Let's just wait and see what actually happens over the long run. But in my opinion, once SEC gets its Gary Gensler out of the office, everything will be fine. Well, that's it for today, guys. Just trying out a new style. Everything's been summarized. All the links to the articles are in the description box below. Please like, share and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. Thank you, and I'll see you again tomorrow.